Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Football Over Family podcast. I am Colin, that is Gavin. This is episode 8, where the mock draft party continues. It's going to be picks 17 through 32 with no trades. Gavin?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun second half of this mock. We've actually added in a ticker that will come up when it is time to get into the mocks, and you will see our previous picks. Colin will be filling that in, so you can look at picks 1 through 16, as well as keep up with 17 through 32. So we're adapting and we're growing here at Football Over Family. You know, we're a two-person podcast, a two-person show, but it's all really big brain Colin over there making it happen.
Yeah, and thanks to one of our viewers for suggesting that we have some sort of live updated ticker or listing so that they could see who we've picked so that they know, oh, you shouldn't pick that guy, or I shouldn't say you should pick him when you've already both picked him. Or who
Yeah,
have you forgotten? That's
yeah,
always the classic with mock drafts is who have you left off? So,
yeah.
yeah, cool to have those types of things. We are always trying to improve on things.
Yeah, and one other thing to note, this episode's gonna be less newsy.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of just like 3 years, 14 million, and just listing contract details,
Yeah, not a lot this week.
and that's a good thing. That
Hmm.
shows that the free agency is slowed down. We are really for real in phase 2 of free agency.
Hmm.
It's just team fits, veteran guys, and things like that.
Yep,
There's still a lot of good guys out there, no doubt about it. But
definitely.
less of the news portion, more of the let's talk
Yeah.
portion from now
So
on.
let's talk about the news.
Oh,
So the Seahawks traded for Gabe Jackson earlier in the offseason. They did, in fact, extend Gabe Jackson for 3 years, 22.5 million. Good news for them. Good news for Russell Wilson. That's a great piece to lock down for a couple of years. And they also extended wide receiver Tyler Lockett, which was a pretty big size contract, 4 years, 69 million. So congratulations to both of them on their extensions. I'm sure both them and Russ are all happy with those things.
yeah, Russ definitely was like, these are two things that I approve of, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
The Texans continued doing Texan-like things. They restructured two guys in Shaq Lawson and Zach Cunningham
Hmm.
in order to just clear about, I don't know, 11 million in cap space. They converted their salaries into bonuses.
Added
And
some voided years onto Shaq Lawson too.
yeah, it's don't know what they're clearing for, but they're clearing.
Yeah. I think they're
So
just trying to I don't know. I feel like they're mortgaging this year's salary cap and finding a way to have an absolute crazy amount of cap space for next season, um, where they know they're going to have a bunch of holes to fill on this roster that's just full of 1 year contracts. I honestly don't understand the process here. This seems like a throw in the towel type of year almost. Testing out a bunch of random guys on the team with like 1 year contracts, maybe 2 year contracts, guys that
yeah.
have been in backups. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I like it. It's Madden style playing.
It is literally Madden build a team. Is
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. The Pittsburgh Steelers added some running back depth in Kalen Balaj.
Hmm. They're
Um,
one of the teams we expect to probably take a rookie running back that will end up being, competing for the starting role. Their current roster just has a bunch of I wouldn't say change of pace, but a bunch of guys that haven't proven they can be a starter. We saw last year they drafted Anthony McFarland Jr. And he's kind of like your scat back
you
classic.
mean Booger
No.
McFarland?
No, the actual Anthony McFarland Jr. But I appreciate the shout out to Booger. But yeah, so he's more of your change of pace. They are still kind of looking for a starter, and Kalen Balaj did actually look pretty good with the Chargers last season after
Mhm.
being released from the grips of Adam Gase. So
Fun
we'll see.
fact for you: one of our viewers, Kay Jaster, who occasionally jumps in chat, he's a Colts fan. He went to high school and played on Kalen's high school football team. So they're
Nice.
like good friends. Yeah. So it's kind of
That's
fun.
fun.
Fun fact for you. Yeah. Then the Titans signed a free agent safety who's a special teams ace, and Matthias Farley. Okay, cool. Next bit of news. Raiders went ahead and extended the first guy from this draft class, this 2018 draft class,
Yep.
to really get a big extension in Colton Miller. He was a guy that got some flack when they drafted him. It seemed like a little early, a little bit of a reach on him, but he has been a standout player, and so they hit him with that 3-year, $54 million
I
extension.
It is interesting though because he's been a comparable starting tackle. He was the 34th graded tackle last year, so it's not like
Yeah, it wasn't phenomenal.
he's not like he had an incredible season. He was starting level tackle in the NFL, which is fine. But for them to give him, I think this actually ends up being top 5 tackle money
Yeah.
on a guy that had 1 year and a 5th year option left, not counting this season. What are
It
the
just didn't make
Raiders
sense
doing?
right
This
now.
is continuing the series of what is happening with the Raiders offensive line. They've traded and released and resigned randomly, and they've extended randomly. And I am
Out
absolutely
of
at a loss of
all the
words.
Raiders' offensive line moves, which one's the biggest gaffe so far? Which one are you like, what was that?
Um, I'll say getting rid of Rodney Hudson probably is the biggest. What are you doing?
And why?
One of the best centers in the NFL and on a manageable contract. He's a team captain, has been for many years. Like, I mean, I feel like there was a lot of classic, NFL memes that get thrown out there all the time. And one of them was like, oh, teams are either going to trade for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, right? And one of the teams that should be trying to get any of these guys is the team that keeps talking about how their quarterback sucks, Derek Carr, the Raiders. And it was the biggest draw to being on the Raiders, and it's just a picture of the pocket in front of Derek Carr and shotgun, and it's like a GIF, and it's just 9 seconds of Derek Carr just standing there as a 5-man rush is perfectly blocked in a nice pocket shape, and it's just like that's the biggest draw for any NFL team to say, come play quarterback for us. Look at this line, and instead they have decimated it, absolutely decimated it,
Yeah,
and
I mean, there's no doubt that Mike Mayock and Gruden just they have a specific vision for this team, and they're just not okay with the players on the roster. Like they're like, oh,
yeah,
what should we do? We should keep our offensive lineman. Now let's get Kenyon Drake. He's really fun to watch.
yeah.
Like it's just like, dude, like Kenyon Drake won't have success if you have crappy offensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean, and they have full faith in their guys that they have as replacements, bringing back starters that have filled in for injuries over time. Like Denzel Good is going to be a starter. They're bringing back Richie Incognito to be a starter. They signed Andre James last week, which was the one we talked about. Their center, which was really random. He started like one game, and it's just, hey, if you want to put together an offensive line, and that you believe in them, then that's totally fine. I mean, NFL teams have put together a sham of an offensive line in one season and it's worked out. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they hit big on some of these guys that we're all kind of doubting, but
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
interesting.
it's interesting, no doubt. Just one fun piece of news: Colt McCoy signed to a deal with the Cardinals as their backup. Chase Daniel, the greatest backup of all time, he's with the Chargers now on a 1-year deal,
Yep.
continuing running that. And then the Bucks
hmm
were the first team to exercise their 5th-year option for 2022. Colin, what do you think about it?
Love it. Vita Vea has been awesome player for us. I think we talked about him a decent amount last week. NFL's number one run defense 2 years in a row, and a big part of that is the fact that Vita Vea is a massive human being who has really great strength and quickness and plugs up the run gaps like nobody's business and forces a pocket on a quarterback pretty quickly when he can just shove a guard or a center into your face. So I'm all about that, and I love what they did, which is not what the Raiders did, which is exercise a 5th year option on a player to just
Yeah.
let them know, hey, we are more than happy with your performance, and we are very happy to extend you right now for another season.
And
And
they didn't have to do that until June.
nope,
And they were like, hey, it's April. We're letting you know. Oh, we're doing this now.
yeah. And I don't even think this was something that was leaked by some sort of like team source or anything like that. I'm pretty sure this actually came from a Bruce Arians just talking to the press in a random press conference. He was just like, "Oh yeah, Vea's going to be here. We're going to take his 5th year option up." I
Yeah,
think
so
that's exactly how this news broke.
I got
So
a Super Bowl tattoo, and we're exercising the 5th year option on Vita Vea. Okay,
yes,
cool.
it's just whatever. But 5th year options incredible. Like why wouldn't the Raiders exercise a 5th year option on a player rather than extend them? Why wouldn't they use the structures in place in the NFL with exclusive free agency and restricted free agency? These are things that teams that are smart with their cap and do things the way that's smart with the NFL, and you can still give your player faith in your team and your organization, because 5th year options are fully guaranteed starting this year.
And they're
So
good money.
you are making good money as a 5th year option. It's a system that's structured around the average salary of positions, and then that is part of the rookie deals that people sign when they are a first round draft pick, because 5th year options are only available to first round draft picks, which is why teams like the Ravens trade up into the end of the 5th round to take guys like Lamar Jackson, because if you know you're going to take a quarterback, you might as well snag them at the end of the first round. We saw the same thing with like Johnny Manziel. Obviously, that didn't pan out very well, but it's something that we see a lot of times as teams will trade into the end of the first round at those lower end picks to take a guy that
Yeah.
they're very confident in for for
Lamar
5th year
Jackson.
options. Exactly.
Perfect one. Pick 32.
Yep.
That's it. That's the news. Think about the last few
Those
episodes. We've
all
been
of the signings are right there, done.
well. There's other ones, but there was just a
Yeah.
lot of small 1 year. Not
Depth
even
pieces. Yeah.
yeah, nothing crazy. So
hmm
that's it. It felt good. It felt good. How many minutes in are we?
We're 10, 11 minutes now.
And we just talked for 8 of those minutes, and
Yeah.
3 of it was the news. So
Yep. There,
refresh.
there are some other things that happened in the news this week, but those are all of our player signings. The NFL did officially announce the 17th regular season game, and the 3
Yeah.
preseason games will be the new structure of the NFL season. We did say that it was going to be announced last week, and it did get announced the next day. So I hope you believed us.
Do you have that week 17 or week 18 schedule?
I don't have it pulled up. No. If you want to go
Let's
ahead and
just
pull it
yeah,
up.
I'm gonna pull it up. We're just gonna say what we think the best game is.
Okay.
Out of those.
Yeah, I know the
Um,
Bucks play the Colts is what I believe we figured out last week. But I saw that there was a good one. I think Saints Ravens is one.
Saints Titans is the
Saints
game.
Titans is the game.
Yeah, and I got salty because then they showed the graphic and they're like best games of week 18, and like it was like Cowboys, Washington football team, and like it was
The
on
Packers have a good
ESPN.
matchup.
Yeah,
I think. I think it might be Packers Buffalo. Maybe. I don't know. I could be confusing, but I saw all those like the top matchups of the week or whatever things that people were posting.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Packers Chiefs, great game.
Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs. Yeah,
Packers Chiefs, great game. Bears Raiders, Vikings Chargers, Lions Broncos, Seahawks Steelers, it was
that
fun.
one could be
Rams Ravens, fun.
Rams Ravens. There's a,
Cardinals Browns, fun.
could be a good game. Yeah.
49ers Bengals, Bills versus Washington football team, Giants versus Dolphins, Cowboys versus Patriots, Eagles versus Jets, Saints Titans, Bucks
hmm
Colts,
hmm
fun game. And then it was Panthers and Texans in the which team will Deshaun Watson be on bowl.
Packers Chiefs is a good one. I think
Ravens and Rams is an awesome
Ravens
game.
and Rams, Cardinals and Browns,
Fun.
Seahawks and Steelers, Bucks and Colts. The Titans game and the Saints game will be interesting depending on how good the Saints are next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a lot of good games. I
Yeah, a
think.
lot of good games. Good for football fans like you and I. More
Yeah.
football is always good football, and then
Yep.
um, for the players, it's just one more game check, I guess.
And it actually depends. So it depends on how you structure your contracts. There are a lot of folks out there that are actually only going to make like the same amount of money for playing the same amount of games because they get paid salary based on the year. But if you signed a contract that has per game bonuses, you actually do get more money now. So
And you have a better chance of reaching your incentives. Oh, I need 20 sacks. I have an extra game to
yeah.
get there. Yeah, that's a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people realize because those
hmm
bonuses add up quick.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw last year, a lot of teams that knew they were going to be, in a good position or were already completely eliminated from the playoffs were literally doing things for bonuses for players. Like Brady threw 13 times to Antonio Brown to get him his $800,000 bonus at
Yeah.
the end of week 17 or whatever it was. Like there are so many bonuses that players are very conscientious about getting towards that they
Hmm.
will do whatever they need to do and their teammates will help them. Like, I'm not going to ask you to do the math, but in order to be a 1,000-yard rusher in the NFL, you have to average 59 yards a game. That is so easy if you think about it.
Yeah,
Like,
I could do that shit.
yeah, okay, let's calm down.
I could
Maybe,
jump Caden Diaz, no problem.
okay, that's random. You couldn't do it behind the Raiders' offensive line anymore, but
No,
maybe last year you could have.
facts.
Um, so yeah, the NFL announced that it's 17 regular season games, which is nice. And I saw another meme that was like, "Congratulations to the Cowboys who can no longer go 8-8 for X many seasons
Yeah.
in a row."
I saw a bunch of pictures of Jeff Fisher, and it was
Yeah.
like the 9-7 is forever dead.
Yeah. No, I will laugh if the Cowboys go like 8-8-1. That'd just be gold. Ugh, what a good time. The
Yeah,
ultimate tie season. Okay.
and go
Yeah,
ahead.
good. Oh, okay, I got
No,
it.
you go.
So the Washington football team has officially been fully purchased out by Dan Snyder. He bought out the other 40% of minority owners after getting his appeal approved by the NFL. So now he is the sole owner of the Washington football team. So we'll see.
For good
We'll,
and for bad.
yeah, we'll see what happens with what's going to go on there. We also had some news from the Spanos family who own the Chargers, where the three brothers basically were like called out by the sister saying we should file for bankruptcy and sell the team. Nothing's being managed the right way. We're in horrible situations, and the brothers are like, if you don't want to be a part of this, you don't have to. We'll buy your shares. Bye. So we'll see what's going to happen there. If anything else develops, that's an interesting situation. So
Calling out here with the owner news and owner inside scoop. Just
hey, I bet Chargers fans wish they knew ahead of time they were going to be leaving San Diego.
well, if you've been to Qualcomm Stadium and seen how ugly that thing was, everyone knew.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna jump into our game now because
Hmm.
that's all the news. So we're gonna spend a little bit more time in the game. With the NFL draft just a clean 26 days away. Cannot wait. I love the draft. Big
Yeah.
draft fan here. Colin, can you
Hmm.
name the last 10 number one overall picks?
Okay.
And we're going to start in 2011.
Oh, can I go the other way? Can I go the other
Yeah,
way?
yeah, you can go the other way. Let's run it.
Okay.
So last 10 number one picks go.
Okay. Joe Burrow is easy. This is already hard. Oh no. Crap. I should have thought about this when you told me this was going to be the game. I didn't look. I didn't even know.
You got 2 seconds in
I
before.
know. Well, because last year was easy. I have that one locked in. I do have to think though. Kyler Murray.
Yep.
Okay. 3 years ago. Um, Crap. See, the good thing is it's almost always a quarterback, so I just really have to think of who was the quarterbacks that were taken. Baker Mayfield.
Correct. That's three.
Um, was it Carson Wentz?
Nope.
Jared Goff? Which one was first? Was it Goff?
Goff went number one. Wentz
Yeah.
went two, but you
Yeah.
skipped a whole year.
Oh,
You
sorry,
skipped
sorry.
2017.
Oh, my bad.
Goff was the draft that we did not go to. It was the one after. The Titans had the number one overall pick. We had number two in 2014, and then number one, or number one in 2015 or 2016, and number two in
Did
2015.
I skip famous Jameis?
No, you're still missing 2017, but that's number
Oh,
one
17.
in 2015. So you have
Yeah.
2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, and 2020 right now.
um, let's do some thinking. This sucks. um, this is going to be one of the ones where it wasn't a quarterback, huh?
You're right. It's not a quarterback.
Oh man.
Come on, you got this. Think about it. Here, I'll give you the team.
Okay.
Think they had back-to-back first-round pick or for number one overall picks. They're the only one on the list that's back to back, and they drafted Baker with the second year.
Oh, Garrett, Miles Garrett.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. So now you have everything up to Jameis, which was 2015.
Okay. I don't think this is the right year, but Clowney is in there.
That is the right year.
It is the right
20
year? Okay.
was Clowney. Correct.
Okay. Um,
Just 3 more to go.
I know it's getting harder though. We're so far down the list now. So RG3 was the second overall pick, right?
Correct. But that was also
Is that 2 years away?
that was 2012.
2012. We're on 13, right?
Yeah.
Ah, crap. Okay, I'll come back to that one. Oh crap.
This
You
player just got cut this
Just got-
offseason.
Just got cut this offseason. Could you do you have like the list of who picked second? Could you just tell me who is like the second overall pick? I'm just trying to age the draft class. You know what I mean?
I can look.
Um,
The second overall pick is Luke Jockle. Third, Deion Jordan. Fourth, Lane Johnson. Fifth, Ezekiel Ansah.
what a horrible draft.
Bro, not even after that. Listen, Barkevius Mingo, Jonathan Cooper, Tavon Austin, D. Milner, Chance Warmack, DJ Fluker, DJ Hayden, Sheldon Richardson, Starlo Tulele, Kenny Vaccaro, and EJ Manuel were the first 16 picks.
Jeez, half
Just-
of those people aren't even in the NFL anymore.
Only 4 of these players were elected to a Pro Bowl in the top 16.
Gosh. I mean, it's probably like
The second half of that first round got pretty good. Eric Reed, Kyle Long,
Okay,
Tyler
yeah.
Eifert.
all right. So he just got cut. Was it JJ Watt?
No,
Oh, thought you were trying to throw me for a loop
it's
there.
the offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman that got cut. Oh, Fisher.
Eric Fisher, big fish. Yeah, he was the number 1 overall pick. He got a lot of crap. He played pretty bad early on in his career, and then he
Yeah.
really turned it around.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so that one. Then we had RG3 was the second overall pick, but it was another quarterback that went first overall, right?
Correct.
It's not Stafford.
Nope.
Is this guy still playing?
Nope.
See. Gosh, and I feel like I should remember this draft.
Oh
Wasn't
yeah,
this-
you drafted Doug Martin in the first round this year.
Yeah. Well, no, wasn't this the year that Jeff Fisher mortgaged the entire future of the Rams for a draft pick?
No,
Oh crap.
this player retired early.
Oh, it's Luck.
Yep,
It
Andrew
was
Luck.
Suck for Luck. Yeah, that was Suck for Luck, the Colts. Okay.
Okay, and then the last one, he's still playing, and he has an NFL MVP under his belt.
Okay. Not. Quarterback again.
Yep.
This is so hard, dude. This is tough.
Corey got this in all of them in less than a minute.
No,
We did this. Yeah, easy.
no, it's not. I don't care enough about going back and looking at drafts and doing redrafts and things like that. It would also help if I had a list of teams in front of me. I can't even think of any. I just keep going back to the AFC East over and over and over again. Like, oh,
This player stole some computers.
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. I didn't like that. I don't like these types where I just have.
I love that. I love the trivia type things like this.
I like doing the little clues, but having no clues at all and just going into this with like, name the last 10 years. There's 250 picks in every draft, man.
I could do that easy.
Yeah, but you also look it up and you also do redrafts and do things like that, so it makes sense.
But anyway, it was fun. It's
Ugh.
crazy when you look back at those top 10 picks or those 10 years of number 1 picks. Man, not all of them are good picks.
Yeah, that's true. I
Good
feel
players,
like
not all of them.
we talked about it last week where there's like 50-50 on bust.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost the same thing here. So we had Cam Newton, I mean, led the Panthers to a Super Bowl, but You know, obviously things don't always work out when you play against Tom Brady, right? Um,
He played against
that was Brady.
Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, Broncos Panthers Super
Oh,
Bowl.
that's true. You're right. Peyton Manning also
But
legend.
Peyton Manning was atrocious in
Was
that.
that Demarius Thomas runs the NFL year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Julius Thomas.
Oh gosh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And then everybody thought that Virgil Green was going to be like the next best thing at tight end. Never did.
No. All right. Well, let's jump into our mock draft
Yeah,
here.
let's do it.
We
Woo!
have picks 17 through 32 today. We have picks 1 through 16 on the ticker. If you can see it right below the ticker under me is obviously my picks, and the ticker under Colin is his picks, just
Mm-hmm.
to make sure we're clear.
Yep.
All righty, let's kick it off. The
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock.
Yeah.
They probably have no offensive linemen that matter anymore. So who are they taking, Colin?
I have them taking Darisaw here just because I feel like when you look at their line, they just traded Trent Brown and Darisaw can fill in right away, starting right tackle. And I talked about it earlier, but I don't think Miller is necessarily a top end tackle. So even though they pay him that way, there is potential for movement around the line. But right now, when you have guys like Incognito, Good, and James as your starting core in the middle, and you're confident in them, you probably want to secure that last starting spot on the outside of the line. So go with Darisaw, and I feel like justifiable. Probably around BPA, and also one of their biggest needs, best player available for those that don't know BPA.
Yeah. Do you think that the Colton Miller extension has any sort of weight on them maybe deciding to go away from drafting an offensive lineman, or do you think it's actually
No.
more of an insurance policy because Miller's contract's so heavy he can potentially become a cap casualty later or a trade
Exactly.
candidate? Yeah, and this is insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we just saw him sign a 3-year extension. I think that actually ends up putting 4 total years on his deal, right? A first round pick has a 4-year contract to start, and then they exercise a 5th year option. If you were going to move on from Miller at some point, you would want to do it 3 to 4 years from now when most of the guaranteed money has been used up and his cap hit would be lower. Obviously, we're talking about a guy that just signed an extension, getting rid of him. So
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know, this is all in case things go wrong. You have insurance policies. I mean, this first round pick could obviously flop as well. We've seen that in literally just last year. So, you know, it all just depends on what you hit on, what future draft classes provide you, and, you know, what free agency offers you and the salary cap situation of every team. But this is one of those things where you can get a starting player, a guy that's going to fit into the 11 guys on the field right from day one, and also have an insurance policy potentially in case something goes wrong with a guy that can shift to both sides of the line.
And I have the same pick, by the way.
Oh.
That I just wanted to go ahead and just get your draft analysis on it. I think it's the best player available, in my personal opinion, at pick 17, and it fits a position of need. That's just drafting smart. However, we've been known to see the Raiders just take the fastest player, so it's possible that they just might take someone else. But
who's a guy that you could see them being like, we're the Raiders, we Raidered it.
You know, I could see them going with one of the edge guys from Miami.
Okay.
I could see them.
Phillips or Rousseau.
Yeah, or even Quiddy Pay
Okay.
from
In my
Michigan.
draft, I already
Yeah.
have Pay and Rousseau off the board. So, yeah.
It's
I could,
Darisaw for me, though.
yeah, okay, that's fair. If anything, I could see them going with a corner if they were going to do something that you know maybe doesn't make sense but still kind of does.
Yeah.
I feel like the BPA of corners, we just saw Horn go off the board at 16. Farley wouldn't be too far off here as like a second pick for them, but
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I like that as well.
Cool.
Okay, so with the Dolphins on the clock, for me, I'm like, what's their biggest position of need? They have tons of draft capital after the Laramie Tunsil trade, and then the most recent trade with the 49ers. They're going to have a lot of first round picks in the next few years. So
Yeah.
where could they hit now and make an impact now? I don't think they need to rush going with Harris. I know people think, oh, it's a home run to put Tua's guy back there with them and let them run the offense. Is he a first round talent running back? Absolutely. But I don't know if they think, for me on the board, I think they're going to go with edge. I think they lost out on the what was it? Lord, which guy was it? Van Noy didn't work out for them.
Hmm.
They lost some money. I just say they replace him here. They go with Gregory Rousseau, or I think it's how you say Rousseau.
Rousseau.
Rousseau
Yeah,
from
it's French.
yeah, I think they're going to go with him. That's my pick for the Dolphins. I know Harris is a pick that everyone likes and is trendy there because it just makes sense, but they're going to want to build their team.
See, and for that exact reason, I have them picking Najee Harris from Alabama, the running back,
Yeah.
because I honestly am one of those people that just sees that as the perfect opportunity, and I don't think that they would be able to get him later, in like a trade up or anything like that at the end of the
Yeah.
first round, like we often see, because I do think that this is a place where you are a player that we would likely see go to like the Steelers, later in the draft, or even maybe the Jets, or some other team down there that might be looking to fill a hole at running back. The
Hmm.
Bucks is another one too. So.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely he could go there, but I
Hmm.
just think it makes too much sense for me. And one of those ones where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, it just works. But I think if they go and they for me, because I still have no edge rushers off the board, they take who they think is the best available at that position, and it helps improve them. And they have so
definitely.
many picks. There are running backs every year. They have so many first round picks. They're going to find one.
Yeah,
You know.
no, that's totally fair. And then on my end, I'm looking at their draft going, the edge rushers that I would say are 1 and 2 are gone in my draft. And if you're gonna just absolutely go all in on Tua, we've already talked about adding
Make them
all these wide
comfortable.
receivers,
Yeah.
having Gesicki as a tight end, put like a big bodied running back in there to go with the complementary guys they have on the as far as their current running back roster, and now you have an awesome offensive draft class from the first round with all these picks, and it could be an exciting team. So
Yeah.
that's why. All right.
Yeah, especially if you give them Jamar Chase
Yeah,
too
exactly.
in the first round, and then they just load up.
Hmm.
What do you got going on for the Washington football team?
So I have them taking a linebacker here, and I think his pro day was actually just yesterday.
Yeah,
Zaven Collins,
yeah,
uh, and I think this is probably one of those picks where this team could easily take another offensive lineman, a corner, or a guy that's going to start right away with Collins at the linebacker position, and I wouldn't be upset with it. I think you get an athletic guy like Collins, and you can play him all over the field as, he can blitz the quarterback when you need him to. He can play some good coverage, and he'll plug up some run holes. So I think it's one of those positions where I would understand if they went a different direction,
yeah,
but for me, if I was this GM right now with this defensive line, I would want to get a linebacker behind them that's rangy, and I would play the way that they've been playing defense, which is veteran corners with a stud defensive line, and then have a guy that can, be that second level in the middle.
yeah. And I don't hate that. My thought is Ryan Kerrigan. Not sure if he's going to come back.
Hmm.
He's still out there. So they just draft a guy to fill in. So I'll go back to back edge for me on the board at 18, 19, and I
Nice.
give them pay.
Okay.
I think that they just want to just make sure they have someone to fill in that slot. They're not sure. Maybe he does return. Regardless, if he does return, it wouldn't be for a long-term deal anyway.
Hmm.
So um, they
That'd
got
be
to get someone.
5 first-round draft picks in a row on the defensive line for them.
And have they hit?
Yes, all four. They're all four starters. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be a scary rotation for
They're
sure.
not in position to draft a quarterback. They're missing out on all the number one wide receivers. They just signed Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? We don't need running back because the greatest running back of all time is in our backfield, Antonio Gibson. And I think that
Uh,
they righting my wrongs from episode 3. But
yep.
I think as a general pick, that's the way they go. We're gonna
That's right.
jump to the Bears next. They
Yep.
cut
Pick
Kyle
20.
Fuller. They just take the best defensive back available because Desmond Trufant isn't going to be the guy there for long anyway. So I think they go
Totally
ahead
fair.
and they go ahead and they take Farley. I know from Virginia Tech, he was the number one guy, Caleb Farley, coming into this year, and then he has the back surgery, and he might fall on some teams' boards. People are afraid of back injuries. It's not like a normal thing to have surgery on. You don't hear about too many of those, so
Hmm.
I think that's the pick there for me.
Okay, I like it. I actually have a wide receiver here, and it's going to be Jalen Waddle for me because he's fallen down my board, and I feel like you're looking at Allen Robinson on a 1 year franchise tag that he still hasn't signed. And if you if you really want to invest in a quarterback next year in the draft or in some sort of free agent or something like that, you need to have some weapons that they can be able to rely on the team. And why not take a shot on a guy that could be pretty dang good and be a nice, like a nice piece to say to a quarterback, we are not throwing you into a horrible team right now. We are giving you
Yeah.
options. You'll have David Montgomery at running back, and you'll have some sort of a wide receiver, even if Allen Robinson does decide to leave next year. So
Yeah.
that's my idea for if I'm the Bears GM here. I want
Yeah.
to put together some sort of offensive weapon that can push us into the future.
I love that pick for them. I just don't think Waddle will be there,
Yeah,
but
totally fair.
I love that pick for them. I think it's perfect to put your next number one in place when Robinson eventually leaves because it's a foregone conclusion. He will be gone some point,
Mm-hmm.
some way.
Yeah,
He's never gonna want to stay there and be there forever.
totally fair.
Next up are the Colts, who are pretty good everywhere. They had a ton of money and they didn't really use it.
Mm-hmm.
They're really in the market for a tackle. They're not great options at tackle at pick 21. You're kind
Nope.
of stuck in the middle there. So they're a trade back candidate. Um,
Definitely.
I think they their defense is so strong and their offense is strong. Man, what do you think they're going to go for?
So this is one of those, in this no trade scenario, I'm going to give them a defensive player because I'm a strong believer in building depth on the defense is one of the best ways that you could, establish a long-term effective team. You could always find a star wide receiver in free agency. There's always at least one. You can get a good plotter veteran at running back any year that you want. The hardest things to find are offensive line, quarterback, and defense. So if you have a good offensive line like they do, there aren't any good options to fill in at left tackle for Costanzo.
Mm-hmm.
And the third corner is still on the board here for me, and it's just easy to pick Caleb Farley. I think it's one of those positions where even if he's your third corner, what a great third corner to have, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
if that surgery goes well and he's all good, of
yeah,
course. For me, it's the same thing. I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, I don't even know who to draft. And I think to myself, if I put another beast linebacker next to Darius Leonard,
hmm
man, that could be scary. So I'm going with the kid out of Notre Dame. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but it's Jeremiah Owusu
Karamoa. hmm
Karamoa. He is explosive. He looks like Devin White style. I didn't see his pro day numbers yet, but man, he's got cover ability. He's a good player. I remember watching a draft profile on him and thinking that guy plays just like Devin White. And you saw how effective having a sideline to sideline a linebacker is. It's critical.
Oh, yep. Sorry, I just hit cancel on typing that. I gotta retype
Oh,
it.
oh yeah. So I'm
Good.
going with him for the Colts. I think they continue to add there, but I don't think they'll pick at 21. I think they're going to trade
Yeah.
back.
I
So
agree with you. I think they're one of those teams that could easily fall back and allow like a Chiefs or a Bills or a Packers, a team that's, in the running for potentially a Super Bowl to go up and grab a guy that's going to be an instant day one impact player.
yeah, I could see like a team that's already in the back half of the 20s trading up. So the Colts don't go out of the first round; they just move back.
Exactly.
There's one more tackle that's kind of there, a guard tackle, Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State.
Yep.
He's kind of the next best offensive lineman on my personal board.
Same.
But
Same
I
for me.
think, yeah, I think that he just isn't going to go at 21. He's more of the 23 to 30 range.
Yeah.
So they might trade back a few.
Totally
All right.
fair. I'll let you go because it's the Titans.
J Rob is on the clock, and we need John Robinson. For those who don't know, sorry, I just talk like he's my best friend. J Rob is on the clock. In J Rob, the Titans trust, and we need wide receiver and we need defensive back pretty bad. Right now it goes AJ Brown, Josh Reynolds 1 year deal, and then crickets. And on the other side of defensive back, you have Janoris Jenkins and Kenny Vaccaro. Or sorry, we let go of Kenny Vaccaro. We let go of Malcolm Butler. We let go of Adoree Jackson. So defensive back is the pick. I'm going with Newsome here, Greg Newsome from
Oh,
Northwestern. I love him. I think he's a good lockdown guy. Not a lot of interceptions during his time at Northwestern, so maybe some ball skills there. But you got to draft a young corner. Got to get a guy in the mix. my dream scenario is J.C. Horn here, but he will not be available.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I actually ended up picking Greg Newsome as well, Greg Newsome the second here. And I think for the Titans, it's an unfortunate situation where this is not a BPA type of pick in my opinion, but it
Yeah,
is a
position to
the
need pick. Yeah.
absolute highest need pick and a player that would probably should fill in as a good starter for them anyway. So his speed is probably his biggest negative, but I think for them, a guy that's big and can cover is going to be enough. You guys signed Janoris Jenkins, and then I think that'll be a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I think the Titans are going to be huge players in the defensive back, wide receiver, free agent market next year. I think this year was edge. Next year, cap's bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll hit that. I also think they're going to go left tackle and draft left tackle next year, or even right tackle this year could be a high pick for them.
Okay, fair. All right, well, we agreed on the Titans pick, which is I was expecting some sort of a fight.
No, hey, don't got many good options. I think the Titans are a little concerned about Rashad Evans as well in the middle. He's going to be a free agent next year unless we decide to get a fifth option on him, a fifth-year option. And so they might go linebacker. I know Zaven Collins, the guy you were talking about earlier,
Yep.
John Robinson was actually holding pads for him at his pro day and working him out one-on-one like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I know
he would be a good pick for you guys. So
he'd be a good pick. So we could get a surprise, but I think it has to be DB or wide receiver.
okay. For the next pick, we have the Jets on here at 23. Another team that I think is very very open to a trade down scenario, kind of like we were talking about for the Colts. This is a team that has a bunch of spots to fill, and picking BPA is always going to be the best case scenario for them after what we think will happen, which is they take Zach Wilson with the second overall pick, and that way they could acquire a couple more picks in this draft and continue to build a full new roster under Big Rob, as you so call him. I do have them taking Creed Humphrey. He is a center guard kind of combo player here, and they have last year's free agent acquisition Connor McGovern who can do the same thing. So it's kind of like a shoring up the inside of the offensive line here. And also his name is Creed, so
It's a cool name.
yeah. Can you take me higher?
Well, we'll see. For me, I'm going edge. I think they go get a massive man, Big Rob, like big players. He's going to go with Jason Owe, I think is how you say his last name. He's the Penn State edge rusher. He's a sophomore redshirt, so he played one season. People were like, yo, you're a monster. Initially, he was going to be the number one edge guy, and I think the Miami guys kind of showed out at their pro day, so they moved up in stock. So I got a huge run on these edge guys here.
Yeah, you didn't take any in our first one, so
Yeah.
we're kind of flip-flopping here.
Yeah, so I think that he's going to go there. He's just a huge guy, and I think he fits a position of need for them. They don't exactly have the best edge rushers on that team, so that's a position of need.
Yeah, totally fair. All right, coming up here at pick 24, we have the Steelers. Again, I would have thrown Najee Harris here, but I took him earlier to the Dolphins because I think the Dolphins want to get him ahead of the Steelers.
And
So
that's
for
just
this
my pick.
For this pick, I ended up going with a Bud Dupree replacement, and I know I was looking at the edge rushers. We were just kind of talking about it, and it's a little bit harder to figure out what you want to do on a Steelers defense just because they play such a fluid defensive line outside linebacker combo where guys can kind of line up in different positions and they have big bodies on the outside sometimes. I ended up going with outside linebacker / edge rusher Azeez Ojulari. I'm not necessarily married to the idea that this is the pick. I think this is the position that they will choose. Just because I think you need to get an edge rusher, somebody that's a little bit quicker, a little bit of a little bit less of a down lineman and more of a stand-up type of guy. So I feel like this is the position. When you look at that position, this is the next guy on that list, kind of. So that's what I ended up going with here for me.
And I have Najee Harris. I think that's the
Yeah.
pick at this point. For if he's at 24, that's perfect for them. I also, I just think it makes sense, right, to get a guy like that. How do the Steelers like to play football? They like to run the ball. Like, to be honest, like they've got away from it the last few years, and we've seen that kind of bite them in the butt a little bit come playoff time. And I think it's been evident with Ben's health. Obviously, they wish they were drafting a quarterback this year. They
Maybe.
wish they were in the top three, but they're not. So I think they're going to just draft
Yeah.
running back and hope for next year.
A lot of people talking about potential trade candidate for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
So
but the Jets, man, I don't know if they're going to trade Darnold. Imagine if that pick two, they just go, not quarterback, and they draft someone else and
yeah,
like Pitts. They just draft Pitts. They're like, let's go. You would be like, wow.
absolutely absurd.
Yeah. But hey, I don't hate Sam Darnold. I feel like out of the
Oh no, no, no,
quarterbacks
not at all.
that people want to like get rid of, I'm like, man, like he makes some of the craziest plays. So maybe they have some hope in him. Who knows?
Yeah. Who do you got for the Jags' second pick here, Gavin?
That's who I have Zaven Collins going to. I
Okay.
think they need to build everywhere. The Jaguars can upgrade at every single position. I thought about Marshall Jr. there. I thought about you give Trevor Lawrence a wide receiver. I know they have a lot of wide receivers down there already, but it's like a lot of those guys are going to be free agents soon. A lot of them are on low contracts. They're not true number ones. I mean, Baby Shark, but whatever. I thought about it. So I went with Zaven Collins because I figure, linebacker, you got to build the football team from a leadership standpoint. This guy can do it all. He's a
Yeah.
beast. Home run pick at 25.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. I mean, I already had him gone, so it's one of those situations. I definitely think he's a solid BPA pick for this team that's kind of rebuilding their former championship level defense. So
Yeah.
yeah, solid. I actually went with offensive lineman Tevin Jenkins here. I think he's a guy that could easily play a couple of roles along the offensive line, and for a team that just franchise tagged a tackle that is, I would say,
Average.
average. Yeah, exactly. This is a good pick to see if this is a guy you think could fill in. Kind of a situation we were talking about with like Colton Miller. If you were going to take a shot on a rookie tackle and have him be your starting left tackle, that's a very bold claim. You know, easy
Yeah.
flops happen that way. So if you're gonna actually franchise tag a guy that isn't necessarily the best, but has been sufficient, I guess is the best way to put that without being so negative. This is a good way to put a bridge here for Tevin Jenkins to possibly become your starting left tackle of the future for Trevor Lawrence. So that's
And
my thought.
it's not, yeah. And the other thing is, too, when you draft an offensive lineman, especially, I mean, any position, honestly, but Jenkins could be a flop. He could be terrible.
Yeah,
So if you, at pick 25, though, and being such a high paid position group, once you get to the franchise tags and the big term extensions, 25 is a good place to get a guy who could potentially be a starting left tackle, right?
And I think at worst case, he's a very aggressive blocker and really aggressive on the line. So if you're gonna have a guy like that can also kick inside the guard, he would be kind of like your DJ Fluker style good run blocker no matter
A
what
mauler.
happens. Yeah. So I think in the end you'd end up with it at the very least a decent guard. Even if something bad does happen, again, he's a first round pick in this mock, so he should be pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. And then we got the Browns, who I've loved their last two or three off seasons. I've really thought they've made a lot of good moves. Moneyball worked, in my opinion. They,
Yeah.
they got a lot of great quality players. I think the one thing that Moneyball did, though, it netted them OBJ, and they have Jarvis Landry. But then outside of that, the wide receiver crew is going to change pretty quickly here. You're going to see OBJ was potential trade block this last season, and Jarvis is coming to the end of his contract as well. I go with Terrence Marshall Jr. from LSU here. I think that they prepare for the departure of one or two of those guys in OBJ and Jarvis with another good wide receiver. He's got great speed and he's huge, great catch radius. I think he's the best pick for them there.
Just a question for you. Over Tony and Bateman?
Yeah, I just think he's the splashier the player. I think that the Browns go for splashy.
Okay.
I think if I'm at 22 and I'm the Titans, and I take Bateman, I'm happy because we need someone really bad. We're hunting for the diamond in the rough wide receiver one. The Browns aren't in the hunting for, like, they don't need him to be a guaranteed number one, a beast. They could take a bigger risk on a guy who could be better. He just didn't play a ton.
Yeah, I your analysis is interesting, and I totally see it. For me, it's you're talking about risk, and you look at a guy like Bateman, who's just who carries his own risk, and I just think of it like I see what you're talking about though, because the future of the NFL is looking at it like a Tyreek Hill number one wide receiver type of player.
Yeah.
You know, explosiveness is the number one it factor. So that is interesting. I do like that.
Bateman is more of like a Calvin Ridley,
Yeah.
and I think Marshall could be a Julio Jones.
Okay.
And that's how I would like view it if I'm the Browns. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I
Oh,
view it.
yeah, totally cool. For me, I have a guy that you actually took earlier. I think again we were talking about it to the Patriots. Christian Barmore here. I think this is the Alabama effect that will actually end up happening more than anything. But I have him going here. If you're familiar with who the Browns lost in free agency this year, they lost Ogunjobi, and it's I believe they also released Sheldon. Did they release Richardson already?
Yeah, he went to the Jets. He went to the Jets.
Oh, that was Rankins from the Saints. I'm talking about Richardson. I think he was a cap casualty as well, or is still rumored to be. But I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking Ogunjobi's gone. You're looking at maybe moving on from another defensive tackle and filling in that spot, going with a guy that people are kind of all over the board on as far as first round talent or not. You know, you took him at 15. I've seen people say he shouldn't even go until the late second round, but I think the Alabama hype is enough to get him thrusted into the pick here. And if I'm the Browns, I've played my cards close and I've gotten every single position filled in the most, laser focused Moneyball way. So might as well continue to build a solid team around what your team needs, filling in holes, getting starters. I would have gone linebacker here as the backup pick, but I felt like Barmore was pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, I took him early just because I don't know. I saw a bunch of articles on him being a leader and all the off-field
Yeah.
intangibles, and I just was like, oh, okay, he's a beast leader. But then I'm like, this guy's a winner. Like he just wins championships, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see him fitting well with what the Patriots do, so I just went with it.
For the same reason right here at the Browns.
Yeah, yeah. The Ravens, we both have the same pick.
Yep.
I believe we have Phillips, the edge
Jalen
rusher.
Phillips from Miami. Yep.
He just ran like a 4.39 or something stupid at like 265 pounds, 4.39. Just like what? Like I mean, you lose Judon and you lose Yannick Ngakoue.
You have to fill
So
that.
you
And
have to fill it. Yeah.
right now they have Tyus Bowser and Pernell McPhee as their starting edge rushers. I mean, those are guys that have been great rotational pieces for the Ravens for a few years. So for them, it's a great opportunity to find another young player to slot into that defense and be some sort of star edge rusher of the future for them. And I think it's a no-brainer pick.
Yeah, no-brainer pick. The Saints, however, have to at pick 28 have to do some thinking here. They have this double quarterback thing going on, and they don't have a ton of money, so I don't really know what they're gonna do. I'm gonna just take BPA for them. I'm gonna go with the edge rusher you have gone in Azeez Ojulari. I'm gonna just go with him. I think Cam Jordan is a monster. He just signed a big contract extension too, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I think you get a guy who can fill in if he ends up leaving at some point here, but also just to go on the other side. And
No, I totally like it.
Trey Hendrickson left,
Exactly.
and I think
love
he
it.
fits in there. So that's my pick.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to take our first safety. It's Trayvon Moehrig. I'm just going to go for it on the pronunciation there. Out of TCU is the first safety off the board for this draft, and I think the reason why I have him going here to the Saints is because we are in this place where we understand what they had to do with their cap this year. They did manage to franchise tag starting star safety Marcus Williams, but I feel like that's one of those situations where that could go either way next year. And then also, when you're looking at like Malcolm Jenkins' performance, I don't think that they're very excited. His contract is just absolutely massive. So it's
Yeah.
one of those deals where a veteran player maybe works his way out of the team in a year or two for a guy like Morig who can start in place of that. And during the time, my light just almost fell on me. Sorry. um, During that time, a third safety, guy that can cover a tight end in certain packages. It's always a good option to have a good set of safeties. So I think that's a future pick that could also result in a guy like Malcolm Jenkins getting released here down the line.
Hey, and you know that they value that position too, and they're willing to throw the franchise tag on a guy
Mm-hmm.
at safety as well. So
Yeah,
it's not a bad call.
yeah. We have Packers up
The
next.
Packers pick 29. This is where
Mm-hmm.
I have Bateman going. I think.
Okay.
I think. All right, we didn't get any wide receivers. We didn't. We didn't even address anything other than keeping Aaron Jones. Let's give A-Rod someone he vibes and better than Alan Lazard probably. So that's where I'll go.
Oh, you took the bait, man. The
Yeah, I
Packers
did.
the Packers never take anybody at a skill position ever in the NFL draft. It is almost a
Hot take.
joke.
Hot take. The
This will be
Packers
the year.
draft a wide receiver 100% in the first round this year.
Okay. I would love to see it because it would fulfill the
Book it.
prophecy.
Book it.
Yeah, I have them taking a linebacker that you actually had coming off the board earlier, Owusu Koromoa. I think this team has struggled at linebacker for very, very long, since pretty much A.J. Hawk and Clay Matthews was more of an edge rusher, but since those guys were running a really solid championship style defense, they've really struggled to find a guy. They did just release Kirksey this year, 1 year after signing him to a pretty sizable deal. So I'm giving them Owusu Koromoa here as their new star linebacker.
Okay. Hey, I like it. I think
Yeah,
he's a good player. I think he's going to be a beast.
yeah.
And then who do you have for the Bills?
This one was harder for me. I was trying to think of what I wanted to give the Bills, and I was really tempted to give them Alex Leatherwood as a BPA style pick at the position, and I thought maybe I would throw them one of the wide receivers, but they just signed Emmanuel Sanders. They have Cole Beasley. They have Stephon Diggs. They re-signed Isaiah McKenzie. They even had a rookie last year who was doing okay for them in the return game. And it's just one of those situations where, like, I don't know what I want to do here. I ended up just throwing him Asante Samuel Jr. because I like I love when we see these generational players coming through. So I got really excited about it, and I gave him Asante Samuel Jr. And I feel like it's one of those positions where, again, a third cornerback on a team with Tre'Davious White is always going to be a a good place to be for a rookie when you don't have to be the star that's thrusted into it like what was his Diggs last year for the Cowboys, who just got thrown into being the number one corner on a
Yeah.
team that had a horrible defensive backfield. So I
When
feel
when
like
your
it's a good
team
spot.
is built like the Bills, where they don't really need upgrades at every position. They don't have a glaring need.
Hmm.
They've built the right way. Quarterback position is handled.
Yeah.
They kind of have the freedom to go wherever they want. I have them going with Travis Etienne. Is that how you say his last
Yeah.
name? Etienne from Clemson. This guy is a baller. I think, hey, our running backs, we have Tywan Jones, Antonio Williams, Devin Singletary, single yard, single carry. Let's go ahead and upgrade this.
Oh my God! I just
And
typed in Jones instead of Junior because you're talking. They have Zach Moss as well, who was rookie
yeah, he
last
got
year.
hurt. He got hurt. I know he was out
Yeah.
of Utah, but he was pretty good. But why not? If you have the opportunity to go BPA and get a potential like real beast, go for it. I like that pick for them there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think one of these, either the Bills or the Buccaneers, should take Etienne here. So you'll see down the road that I have the Bucks taking them.
And what do you got the Chiefs going with?
And then for the Chiefs, I actually had them taking Leatherwood here. We just talked about Eric Fisher, who was cut earlier in the draft game that you had me doing. They are in need of some tackles on this team, and Remmers is a guy that can kind of fill in around the line, and I think getting Leatherwood to be your other starter puts them in a better spot. Just because this is kind of a thrown together offensive line with the star being Joe Thuney at the middle in the middle. He's going to play left guard, so you put the rookie next to him on left tackle. You have the center that they just signed, Blythe from the Rams, and then you have Kyle Long and Mike Remmers as your entire offensive line built to protect Patrick Mahomes. So that's
And
where I went.
I go the same direction, but mine is Tevin Jenkins. This
Fair,
the same
yeah.
the same type of direction you had. I think that way they suddenly their offensive line that had no one, it seems pretty okay. As long as the rookie can play pretty okay, they will be pretty okay on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I think we had the exact same idea. It's just in my draft I already took Jenkins, so
Yeah.
solid. I like it. All
And
right, the Buccaneers. I already kind of spoiled it, but I have Etienne going here. Re-signed Leonard Fournette to a 1-year deal. That's great. Ronald Jones is still under contract for another 2 years. That's great. They did just draft Keyshawn Vaughn in the second round, second or third round last year. He is the only one, Vaughn, that has pass catching, prestige, I guess is the best way to put that. Right now, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette are both catching up to 100 to 300 passes a day because their pass catching skills have been so piss poor that Tom Brady is just like upset. He is known for throwing to his running backs. He made
yeah.
stars out of James White, Rex Burkhead. Like he's a running back. A running back targets are always good when you are the running back of the Tom Brady quarterback situation. So having a guy like Etienne who can catch the ball and make big plays out of it is very important. And I
Yeah.
think rags and riches, you're bringing back 22 starters from the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, and I think that's a home run pick if he's there, and
Mhm.
I think that's the direction he'll go.
Yeah.
I have your Bruce Arians wants to draft a dope weapon, and Etienne's already gone pick for you here.
Okay.
Elijah Moore from Ole Miss.
Okay.
He is a beast, and he's been just blowing up in terms of from pro day last week. All the numbers, everyone's freaking out about how awesome he looks, and I think at 32 you have all these pass catchers that are on 1 year contracts for the Bucks. We have the whole gang back together,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have a true. I know you have Godwin and you have Mike Evans. If you draft just the Antonio Brown replacement, if you will, but better than Antonio Brown, maybe.
That's a lot. That's saying a lot.
I mean, he's gonna. I think he is a guy that will be there for years to come.
Okay.
You don't know how long Mike is gonna be there. Let's be honest.
I mean, I hope forever. He's literally just broke an NFL record for 1,000-yard receiving season. So
I hope so too. But you also got to be like, okay, we already have a lot invested in the wide receiver position. I also thought about drafting. What's his name here? The corner. Just for Tyson Campbell from Georgia. I thought about going with him because I was like, they don't really have to address anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
really
one of
know
those.
what you guys got to do. So I'm just gonna go with the fun pick, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I feel like it's no matter what you're taking here, it's a position that is going to be a backup player. The only position that I think you could directly put a starter in is maybe at one of our guard spots. We have Alex Kappa, who was a third-round draft pick a couple years back, but he's had some injury issues, and that's the only spot that you could directly say that is the starter that you're drafting. It's a situation where you're just drafting something that you think Bruce Arians is going to have fun with. So I
Yeah,
totally get it.
yeah. I don't think the Bucks pick at 32. I think they trade back out of there.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
totally fair.
they need to pick there. They save money that way too because then they don't have a first round pick. So in the long run, they'll save cash. Yeah, I don't think they pick 32. That's all of them, folks.
That's all the picks.
All 32 picks for our first mock 1.0.
Yeah.
It was fun. I had a good time. How'd you feel about it?
Good. I really liked it. That was interesting. I love doing this first one because I feel like now we'll start to see we'll be able to physically see who's a riser in the the draft rumor mill coming up for the next couple of weeks.
26 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we are gonna do another mock for sure, a mock 2.0. I think it'll be a little bit faster. I'm pretty unfamiliar with the prospects in general past. I don't know, pick pick 40. Like I'm not like super deep this year. I know like a couple guys, but
Yeah.
I'm not like super well versed. So I think this next 3 weeks, I'm going to really get all my ducks in a row and get ready for this draft the right way. Listen to all the Move the Sticks podcasts, no free shout outs. And so I think
Except for that
that
one.
it's a joke. It's from
I know.
Bustin' with the Boys, no free shout outs.
Yeah. No free shout
But
outs.
but yeah, so I'm really excited. And we'll do another one. We're going to probably go faster with
Yep.
the picks.
We'll do a whole 32 probably.
Heck yeah. I think we'll do 2 or 3. I think 3.0 will be the last one.
Sure. Sounds good to me. I think we could do a 3.0 before the draft.
Yeah. On draft day.
That's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. That was implied. I'm sorry.
Maybe I should take a day off from work. Who knows?
You should. You really should. All right, so that's going to do it for us here at the Football Over Family podcast. Thank you so much for listening in to two brothers talking about the only thing that matters. We've had a good time with this mock draft, and we really hope that you give us some feedback on what you thought about our picks. Again, this is the mock draft taking place on 4-3 for the second half, and then last week was at the end of March here, so it is a pretty early mock draft. We will see some more risers and fallers out of these guys, but we had a good time doing it.
No trades in this one.
And
No trades in this one.
We did
Important
talk
to
about
note.
we did talk about some teams we think will trade, because there are some pretty obvious ones that I think everybody knows. Every year there are some people that will likely trade, and it's the same teams in the same situations. But yeah, you can find us over on YouTube at Football Over Family. The socials are down there on the bottom left corner. Our YouTube is gonna have all of our podcast recordings without the talking to our live audience on Twitch before and after. So if you want to follow us on Twitch, that's also Football Over Family. We do live Q&A before and after our podcast episodes. And then if you want to follow our Instagram, we usually post updates when we're going to go live. Gavin's been catching up on some clips, as well as putting together some graphics for everybody to see. So that's been awesome. The link or the tag is down there as well. It's Football Over Family. And I think that's going to do it for episode number 8.
Yep, mock draft 1.0 in the books. Feels good. Can't wait to get into next week. Maybe we'll have some more draft trades or something to spice up the order. Maybe Sam Darnold moves start to happen.
And
so
I do want to go over some team needs again. I feel like that's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, team needs next week would be very important. Also, we want to talk about fantasy football. Some guys that could get drafted in the first round to make impacts immediately, depending on where they go.
Hey, maybe we do a fantasy mock draft.
Pre-draft fantasy first round mock draft.
How many rookies go in the top 10?
Just
top
Derrick
20.
Henry. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4.
Okay.
All of them.
Thank you everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the Twitch chat if you're still here. Peace out.
Goodbye.